First off, I want to say congratulations on you making it this far in the election process. So you had a total of 742 votes and the rest of your opponents received less than 500 votes.
Yes.
So what did you do differently in your campaign?
I visited all the perimeter campuses except Newton and Decatur. However, I do have a couple of friends on both of those campuses and they were able to campaign for me because I wasn't able to go to those two campuses due to like a time constraint. So what I did is that through my position in Spotlight, I was able to interact with more other organizations on the perimeter campuses, which I created friendships. And then once they found out that I was running to be SGA president, they were like, wow, like we have to get you the perimeter vote. And then that's what happened. I was also the other candidate that had the most perimeter votes.
Okay.
So yeah.
There were 196 voters who declined the vote within the presidential race. So what aspects of this race do you think turned them away, and how will you appeal to those 196 voters?
I feel like probably what made them decline to vote was because they didn't recognize any names, or they didn't recognize any faces. Through that, I feel like when the next presidential candidacy race happens next year, SGA needs to put their those faces more out there. I know it's their jobs as well, but this is also like the reputation of SGA. We don't want SGA to be like forgotten like it usually is. The students who declined to vote, maybe the form was too long. Maybe they should do a different form where it's just like a little bit more simple. Or if they do decline to vote, then it's like a one-touch button at the very end of the form instead of each like individual section having that option to vote. And also. The decline to vote that I've noticed on the ballot was that it wasn't at the very bottom. Sometimes it was like in the middle or at the very top. So that maybe made it easier for students to just click it and just be done with it.
Okay. And so now with the 1,118 that voted for other candidates, how do you plan on appealing to those people?
I do feel like a lot had to do with name recognition. Maybe identity politics might be a thing in it as well. I feel like me as a diverse student, I have a lot of different aspects. I know that I probably did only talk to the people that I already knew, or that people that knew other people for me. Now I'll be able to be targeting like people that are at Blue Law, so all the commuters, at Perimeter even more, maybe not just PAC members, maybe MSA, or students who aren't even on any of the organizations. I feel like what the other opponents did have that I didn't was they had a lot of like backup, like my competitor right now, Anthony, he is in a fraternity, so he has all of D9 behind him, which is very helpful. Shayna, she's a great public speaker, so I knew that for sure definitely helped her out. Nashby, an incredible person, that appeals to people in all these different aspects. But I do plan on using all these different aspects that they had for this upcoming Thursday.
Okay, and so on campus we have hundreds of student organizations, and you want some more collaboration between those. So what type of plan do you have in place for that?
Right, so my position at Spotlight, I really dove into the process of creating events and then talking to people way before an event has to happen. So if I become SGA president on May 1st, the very first day in office, I'm going to talk and reach out to all these organizations, because I know through the summer that's the busiest time, that if you want to have an event in the fall and the spring, you have to plan it out accordingly. And also you have to have enough adequate time to communicate with these organizations, because some people might be busy or out of the country, or doing a side job to get some money for college. You want to have enough time to communicate with them what both of y'all want, because it is a collaboration. Some people do look at it like SGA might want to control the event, but if I become SGA president, I'll make sure that both people have a say and it's not just one person using the other.
Okay, now I did hear you mention Spotlight. So with being on that, if you are elected, how do you think you'll balance both?
So right now I am a daytime director for Spotlight, so I'm on the e-board. I plan on staying in Spotlight as a committee member, which is a lot less, time consuming. That would, depend on which committee I decide to join for next year. The way to balance is that right now I know the executive director for next year, so that would be a great fit for SGA and Spotlight to do stuff together. Because right now SGA and Spotlight, they don't really, collaborate or do any events together, even though they are one of the biggest departments on campus. So by having that connection and friendship and just family in Spotlight. I feel like that would be a lot easier to fulfill.
Okay. Now, being a senator on the Student Government Association, what are some things that you've already done within SGA up to this point?
Right. So last semester, in the fall, towards the middle, I brought up the College Transparency Act. The vote was a little bit iffy. It was kind of like cut in the middle, but I do feel that was because people weren't really explaining themselves well. So the College Transparency Act, what that does is that it was a push to the government in Georgia. It was a push so they could connect the Department of Education and the Department of funding and all of that. So so students who are interested in coming to Georgia State or other colleges, they can see the prospects of students who have graduated and what they're doing, how much money they're making, what their background was before college. Students were able to, or might be able to see that because it hasn't been passed or anything yet. So I was able to pass that bill. What I did the beginning of the semester was I did the Human Trafficking Week right before the Super Bowl. So with the Super Bowl, human trafficking Atlanta, Hartsfield Jackson Airport, we are, a hub for human trafficking. So what I wanted to do is that, prior to the Super Bowl, and then also Georgia State being just so close to downtown, well, we are in downtown, but being close to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I didn't want any of our students to be, fall a victim to human trafficking. So throughout that week, I was able to, we did signs in Library Plaza that were, impactful, and then people were seeing it being like, wow, this is so true. One of them said, every night 100 girls in Georgia are kidnapped for sex trafficking. Something impactful that will stay with you, We did that, and then we hosted a panel with Miss Nita Bales. She is a director for In Our Backyard, so she is a human trafficking advocate, nationwide. She came and talked to us, and then she just gave us a little slideshow of what to find out. What to look out for, what to do in the instance that you do see human trafficking, and what to do if you are, a victim of human trafficking. And I feel like a lot of people resonated with that, and it brought out a different talking point that not many people really want to discuss.
Okay. And so with doing those things, do you feel like that gives you an edge in the election?
Yes, of course, because it means that I'm involved in my community. Through Spotlight and Phi Alpha Delta as well, I'm always giving back to the students. And then I feel like through SGA and being a senator, I want to continue the Human Trafficking Ad Hoc Committee. I want to continue the Smoking Ad Hoc Committee as well. I want to continue all these things that President Franklin already implemented, so we can, make those changes actually happen and it not just be a one-year thing, and then the following administration it just dies off.
Okay. And so you have an opponent, Anthony Jones. With both of y'all have made it to the runoff, obviously. So how do you stand out from him, or how are you different? So
the way that I am different is that I feel like my campaign has been very, hard. I've been putting a lot of effort into my campaign. I've been wanting to talk to all of my constituents. I'm not just doing it, I'm not doing it because, well, personally, I didn't think that a lot of people knew me, and apparently the voting shows that a lot of people know my name, know who I am, know what I look like. I'm being stopped constantly while I'm walking, and people keep saying, hey, aren't you an SGA presidential candidate? And I'm like, yeah, oh my God, I'm being pinpointed, I didn't know that a lot of people, were behind me and supporting me, and I do feel like that's something different that I do have from Anthony Jones, is that support, not just from one specific organization or one specific demographic. I have that support from all around, even perimeter, which is very important. We can't keep forgetting about perimeter, because they've been left behind too many times, and then through my presidency, I know that they'll be right next to me.
Okay, so how do you plan on doing collaborations with all the campuses of Georgia State? Because we have a lot of them.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, we do. So, so I know we have MSA, we have PAC and Spotlight, we have all of the SJs. I know we probably have a little few in between of similar campuses, organizations. So through those, like I said, we will probably go in the summer and then contact all of the EVPs. I plan on talking to all the EVPs on all the campuses the first day in office and everything, so we can create a concise plan. I want to know what they want to do on their respective campuses. I want to see what the potential they see even on the Atlanta campus. Through that, talk to all these organizations, see what they want to see, if they even want to be part of this collaboration effort that I have. And if they do, then we can do a lot of things, just continuing having an event on the same day on all the campuses to bring unity, so people aren't just looking at the Atlanta campus and being like, wow, they're having Panther Palooza and all of these things. But yeah, I don't want them to see that it's just an Atlanta thing. It's it's all 6 campuses.
Okay, and so with doing those events, how are you going to get them? How are you going to get them out to those events?
Yeah, so marketing is a huge thing. You have to entice the students to what they want. A lot of students like free food, they like giveaways, they like music, like DJs, all of these things. Right now, I know that the SGA funding for all 6 campuses does get split based on, I believe, population. I'm not so sure on that, but I do know that the perimeter campuses do have a little less money than the Atlanta SGA campus. So clearly we will keep that in mind, and we're not going to be out here spending all this money on all this food when people can't really afford it, you know? Because like we're not a programming board, we're an advocacy group for the students. We can also do events like town halls on all the campuses. Like it doesn't have to be like a fun event, it can be an informative event. People can come out and learn what we're doing, and we can learn what they want us to do.
Okay, and if you are elected on the Student Government Association as president, what's the first thing that you plan to do?
Okay, so something that has been really like bugging me in my last couple of years at Georgia State is like financial aid. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do as soon as I hit office is that I want to email the financial aid director. If anything, I think the other day she stopped by my table because she saw my platform that was increased financial literacy. She is aware that we have a program, and then I'm aware that we have a program, and she is like down to speak about it and then see what else I have to say about it, what other students want more out of it. So that will be the first thing that I do, is that I will email her, or I'll just go visit her office, and I'll be like, we need to make sure that this summer financial aid isn't continuing to backtrack people's money, because that affects students' careers and their pathways and even graduation times.
Wow. And so within financial aid, what can students do to kind of help out or rally behind you on that?
We can always do petitions, petitions, work well in like nationwide. I'm not really sure how much it might work in, like school-wide. However, if we do get enough signatures from students and even organizations behind it, or maybe even organizations outside of Georgia State, like Georgia-wide orgs that would, rally behind this petition, that might put a little bit more pressure on the financial aid office, like knowing that there's all these eyes watching them, and that if they don't do anything, then the signal's going to write about them.
Yes, and in closing, is there anything that you'd like to leave with the students of Georgia State before everybody votes on Thursday?
Yeah, of course. So I feel, me, Jazmin Mejia, I feel like I am a very diverse, student in the range of that. I've been someone who who lived on campus for 2 years. I'm currently a commuter. My commute is an hour and a half. I do that almost every other day. It's absolutely terrible. I've been someone who hasn't been involved. I wanted to get involved, but I didn't know how. At one point, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'll just go to class and go back to my dorm. Now I am involved, and I don't regret, being involved. It has been very tough this entire year. School, classes, they always come first, but sometimes being involved will really help you out more than you think. Like you'll find connections, you'll meet more people, you'll find things, you'll find out about yourself more than you would have if you were just, a student that just goes to class and back. You learn a lot. And then as an SGA president, I feel like you need someone who has given back to their community constantly, not just once or twice, or will say that they will give back to their community, but that there's proof that they have given back to their community. And I feel like an SGA president should be, a fighter for the students, not just someone that will talk and then just like sit back when administrators like, no, we can't do that. We need someone that's going to keep pushing and pushing until it gets done. Thank you.